go to D2L and our section for History 10801 and go to the content area and go down to chapter 23, which is the chapter on the Industrial Revolution. In content, you're going to find this quote, which you can look at there, or you can look at here on the screen as you listen to me take you through this. So I'm going to present this paragraph as William Graham Sumner would have presented it, and then you have a guide with some questions that you need to fill out, and have that ready and printed so you can fill it out as you listen, and then as you evaluate what William Graham Sumner, what I have to say here. So I'm coming to you from the 19th century. First of all, private property. I'm assuming that everyone here believes that private property is legit. You all own something which is yours. It doesn't belong to anybody else. Now, if you agree with that, and you probably do, what follows will be quite easy to understand. Here we go. Private property, also which we have seen to be a feature of society organized in accordance with the natural conditions of the struggle for existence, produces inequalities between men. So, if you look out at society today, you see a gap between rich and poor. You see some people doing well, some people kind of in the middle, and some people really struggling on the bottom. This struggle for existence is aimed against nature. It is from her niggardly hand that we have to wrest the satisfaction for our needs. But our fellow men are our competitors for the meager supply. Competition, therefore, is a law of nature. Nature is entirely neutral. She submits to him who most energetically and resolutely assails her. She grants her rewards to the finest, therefore, without regard to other considerations of any kind. So go back to the ideas associated with capitalism, and the first one that we mentioned was economic individualism, and that's the point that Graham Sumner is emphasizing here. We're all in competition. How well we do depends on how hard we try and how gifted we are. Some people are going to do well, some people will be in the middle, some people will be more towards the bottom. If then, back to the quote right in the middle, every liberty men get from her just in proportion to their works, and their having and enjoying are just in proportion to their being and their doing. Such is the system of nature. If we do not like it, and if we try to amend it, there's only one way in which we can do it. So some people, commentary here, are not content to see a society in which there are people on the top and then there are people on the bottom and some in the middle. They don't like the fact that there's that gap, and so they want to close the gap. So here we go back to the paragraph. If we do not like it, and if we try to amend it, there's only one way in which we can do it. We can take from the better, those who are on the top, and give to the worse. We can deflect the penalties of those who have done ill, haven't tried hard enough, are content to just be on welfare, and throw them on those who have done better. We can take the rewards of those who have done better and give them to those who have done worse. Yes, if we do that, we will lessen the inequalities. We shall favor the survival of the unfittest, however. Now, in the 19th century, there are two other people that I knew that shared my ideas. One was Charles Darwin. And in his book, Origin of the Species, he talks about how the process of natural selection was used to create the variation of species that we have today. Now, Herbert Spencer saw that phrase, natural selection. He said, that's way too bland, that's way too mild. Instead, you should say survival of the fittest. So, if we lessen the inequalities, back to the paragraph again, we'll favor the survival of the unfittest, and we shall accomplish this by destroying liberty. So here's my formula for the ideal society. Let it be understood that we cannot go outside of this alternative. We have to have liberty. We have to allow people to pursue the goals that they want to pursue, to develop their talents to the greatest extent possible. That's going to produce inequality. There's no way around it. The good news, it will also lead to the survival of the fittest, which is the best way to build a great society. Liberty necessarily creates inequality, which leads to the survival of the fittest. Now, those who don't like that will take away liberty, back to the quote, try to produce equality, which will then lead to survival of the unfittest. My way carries society forward and favors all its best members. The latter carries society downwards and favors all its worst members. So, in the ideal society, which I think should be created, people would be free to develop their talents and pursue their dreams and their goals. There would then be inequality, that's true, but that's always going to be around. But in the end, the best would survive. And in my vision of the ideal society, the worst thing that a society could try to do would be to bring people from the bottom up, to help people who haven't worked hard enough and reward them by taking away things that the more ambitious and gifted people have achieved. Now, think about these ideas and answer the remaining questions on the study guide.